You've probably seen that serene image of the Buddha, right? Calm, peaceful, enlightened. But if you dig into the earliest scriptures, the Pali Canon, you find a story that's way more dramatic. We're talking exiled princes, a choice made in heaven, and a birth that literally shook the entire universe. And this isn't some legend made up centuries later. This is the origin story that comes from the Buddha's own words.
So who was he before he became the Buddha? Well, according to the texts, he wasn't just some guy. His story kicks off with a totally wild family lineage and a conception that was a planned, cosmic-level event. So to really get the enlightened one, we have to go way, way back, long before he was even born.
So here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to cover 4 pretty incredible chapters. First, we'll look at the audacious founding of his family, the Sakyas. Then we'll zip up to the heavens to witness his conscious descent to earth. After that, we'll feel the world-shaking moment of his conception, and finally, we'll explore the sacred and really unique details of his mother's pregnancy.
Okay, first up, the story of his people. And this isn't your average, fairy tale of kings and queens. This is a story built on exile, desperation, and a decision that was, well, you'll see, it was truly audacious.
The whole thing starts with a king who boots his 4 oldest sons out of the kingdom, just to make way for a younger heir. So these princes end up stranded in a forest, and their #1 obsession is preserving their royal bloodline. To prevent what they called the contamination of the castes, they do something that is, frankly, pretty shocking. They marry their own sisters.
Now, when word of this gets back to their father, the king, you'd think he'd be horrified, right? Nope. He was actually impressed. He exclaims, "Audacious princes, indeed." Now, in the original Pali language, that word for audacious or capable is Sakya, and that one word is about to define their entire family.
So the family name that would one day give us the Buddha, the Sakya clan, comes directly from this moment. It's got this cool double meaning. It's a nod to the Sakya tree where they built their new home, and it's a direct quote from their father, celebrating their audacious and capable act of doing whatever it took to keep their lineage pure.
And this is where it gets really fascinating, because it grounds this whole epic story in some real-world politics. The scriptures are very clear. Before the Enlightenment, the Sakyas were basically a lesser kingdom. They had to bow down and pay respect to the more powerful king of Kosala. But afterward, the Buddha himself says that this very same king bowed down to him with that exact same reverence. Talk about a total flip of the script.
Okay, so that's the earthly drama. But believe it or not, that's just the prelude. According to the texts, the real story, the bigger story, doesn't start on earth at all. It starts up in a heavenly realm with a very deliberate choice.
And this is absolutely key. This wasn't some random spin of the karmic wheel. The Bodhisattva, that's the being who is destined to become the Buddha, is described as living in this place called the Tusita heaven, with complete and total mindfulness. He lived out his entire lifespan there, and then, with that same full awareness, he chose to leave and be reborn in his mother's womb back on earth.
All right, now we get to the part where the story just goes cosmic. His arrival on Earth, yeah, it wasn't quiet. It was an event that literally sent shockwaves through all of existence.
So let's zoom in on that exact moment of conception. As his closest disciple Ananda would later tell it, the instant the Bodhisattva entered his mother's womb, a whole series of mind-blowing things started to happen across the universe.
First off, this incredible, brilliant light appears. The texts say it was so bright it outshone all the gods and filled every single corner of the universe. It even blasted through the darkest hell realms where sunlight never ever reaches, and for the first time ever, the beings stuck there could actually see each other. Imagine that!
And then there was the physical impact, the second miracle. At that very moment of conception, the entire world, all 10,000 world systems, shook, trembled, and quaked. And we're not talking about a little local tremor. This was a cosmic earthquake, announcing a major arrival.
And here's the kicker. These weren't just random magical side effects. The Buddha himself explained that this earthquake is a specific, predictable sign. It happens every single time a bodhisattva consciously chooses to enter a mother's womb. This is cause and effect on a scale we can barely imagine.
So what about the woman carrying this incredible being? The scriptures go into amazing detail about the unique and sacred conditions of his mother Maya's pregnancy. It was like no other.
The texts tell us his mother, Maya, was basically transformed into a living sanctuary.
The moment he was conceived, she just naturally became virtuous. She had no lustful thoughts, and no man could even approach her with desire. On top of that, she was guarded 24/7 by 4 celestial beings and felt no sickness or tiredness at all. Her body was a pure, protected vessel.
And there's this one image the texts use that's just so beautiful and specific. It says that she could actually see the Bodhisattva in her womb, with all his arms and legs, as clearly as you or I could see a colored thread running through a perfectly clear, polished gemstone. It's all about total clarity, total purity. Nothing was hidden.
And they even give us one last, super specific detail. You know how pregnancies are usually 9 months, maybe a little more? Well, this one, the texts say, lasted a perfect, full 10 months. See, every little piece of this story is meant to show us that this was all deliberate, all flawless.
So, there you have it. From a wild family history to a conception that literally shook the universe, this is the story the Buddha told about how he got here. It's so much more than a biography. It's a profound statement about what's possible. And it leaves us with a pretty big question, doesn't it? If a life can begin with that kind of cosmic significance and divine purpose, what incredible potential is hiding in all of us?